So everyone says you need to shallow the club to fix your golf swing. But what if I told you that's exactly what's ruining it? So if you're losing power, consistency, or stuck with that slice, this magic move might be doing more harm than good. Let me show you why. So many golfers will tell me they struggle like mad with their ball striking, their power, and their accuracy. And they'll stand up, and whether it's face-to-face or online with me, they'll say that they know when they swing, the path's too much out to in. Even when they get a decent strike on it, they just feel from the speed they put into the golf swing, they don't hit the ball anywhere. So then they spend lots and lots of time trying to get the golf club working round them more, and particularly in the downswing, trying to feel that that golf club's dropping down, shallowing out so they can hit the ball from the inside. And some golfers, it'll make that difference, but far too often when I see golfers doing it, and particularly when they start really shallowing the golf club, we see lots of this. So the good news is they've changed the path, but now the low point's behind the golf ball, they're fatting it, they're thinning it, they're topping it. And as much as they've chased that magic move, like all the top players talk about shallowing, it doesn't give them what they want. So what I want you to understand is, even though I'm not suggesting by any means we want to be here and throwing the club out, what a lot of golfers will do to begin with is in their backswing, they'll get the club working back and behind them. The hands get quite low, and then obviously what they need to do is throw the club back out to get there. Now, first thing I'm going to say is we need to work on the backswing, then I'll show you how we're going to deliver the club better in the downswing. But if we think of the golf swing, the backswing particularly, as all it really is lifting the arms and then tilting the shoulders. Okay, so what we'll see from down the line here is my hands are much more opposite my chest. Now, far too often with golfers, when they whip the club behind them, we can see my hands are already behind my chest. And from there, it's going to be really, really difficult because I'm just going to swing down, jam the club in the ground. Even if I shift my weight from face on a lot, I'm going to bottom out early. So I love that idea that if all the backswing is lifting the arms and then left shoulder down, that's such a great way to rehearse that backswing. And when I work face-to-face with golfers, first thing I want them to do is actually just do that as a little drill. So from there, lift the arms up, tilt the shoulders, and swing down. Once they do a few practice swings, we then say, right, lift the arms, tilt the shoulders, and don't worry too much about the strike to begin with. Just kind of look at the direction of the shots, and then obviously when I'm coaching and I've got TrackMan, we can see straight away the low point was a little bit ahead, path was very slightly out to in, but much more neutral, and it's a much straighter shot. So I'd want you to do, if you're working through the video with me, I want you to do a few of these, so it's lift those arms up, tilt the shoulders, and then swing down. And again, we'll see there, even though the strike wasn't fantastic, low point ahead, very neutral delivery. Now, personally speaking, I do like the golf swing to be one whole movement, but occasionally we just need to break down a couple of different feels to give us what we want. And if you're somebody who's not really sure about backswing, this is just maybe the best drill to feel where you should be. So once again, we're going to set up, lift the arms, tilt the shoulders. So the good news is you'll already be hitting the ball better, and we've not even discussed yet, which we're about to, what the best players talk about in their downswing that backswing is going to help you create. So what every single elite ball striker talks about is that from the top of the backswing, they like to feel that the arms stay more in front of the chest. They don't like that feeling of the club being way behind them, because as they turn out the way, we see the club's way behind, and that's that stuck feeling that good players talk about. They get there, club drops way down behind, and unless you've got some unbelievable ability to rotate out of the way, you're just never going to get that club face back. So, what we're looking at here is if I were to not do the backswing we've spoken about and almost exaggerate it, where I kind of lift my arms, we might say that looks good, but then as the club drops down behind, we can see how my elbow actually goes behind my pocket, and then I'm in trouble. So the best golfers in the world talk about how arms in front here, and then as they shift towards the target, the club will shallow a little bit, but then they can turn out the way, and those arms stay in front of our body. So remember, we're not trying to shallow the golf club from being here and intentionally dropping everything way down. Even though we see Justin Rose rehearse this movement, he doesn't actually do that in his swing. So we want to feel again that lift, tilt, and then we're going to let the body shift towards the target, and then we're going to try and feel that right shoulder down through impact. Now, I know it sounds like there's a bit to think about here, but there isn't really. And I want you to just do some practice swings, get that feel. And it's amazing how much room that you feel you got, how much time you've got. And because we're now swinging the club on a better direction through the bottom, it's amazing how we start moving that low point ahead of the golf ball. And because you use the ground a little bit better, you'll actually generate a little bit more speed. So like I said, I'd like it to be one whole movement, but we're just going to think about those little bits for a couple of practice shots. And wow, that feels so easy. So we can see 81 mile an hour club speed, 4.1 inches ahead. Again, very, very neutral delivery and 143 yards total. Now remember, we're absolutely not trying for that magic move. We want to feel the arms in front of the body a little bit more. So we're going to do one more where it's a little bit broken into parts. It does feel incredibly easy to do that, and again, very, very neutral. Right, so as good as it feels when I'm doing that, it does feel a little bit like I'm painting by numbers. So now can I get those feels in one whole flowing movement? And it does feel really, really good. I generate some nice speed. Maybe just a fraction more out to win than I would normally be. But I quite like that little fade. So go one more, and especially for me, this is such a great feeling in my golf swing. Again, the strike felt superb. Just left that face a little bit more open, but I do really, really like that. And I think it's so different for me because historically I've always felt that get back here, that club drops down way behind me, which I appreciate for a lot of you watching might not be your usual issue, but from there it's so hard for me to catch up with everything. And I've definitely been one of those golfers in the past that I think I was told as a kid, you know, how important was shallowing, that I feel like the club gets very stuck behind me. And I always used to hear the best players in the world talk about how they felt they got their arms more out in front of their body. But my misconception was that it was always causing that. But like we see, if I get my arms up, tilt my shoulders to the top, and then just turn back, my arms are in front. Love that. Then I can shift, get that right shoulder under. And like I said, I don't want it to be paint by numbers. I just want to stand up there, make that swing, hit it like that every time I'd take. And we can see very neutral delivery, low point ahead, and nearly 170 carry. So remember, the so-called magic move might just be the move that is absolutely ruining your golf swing. We don't always need to be trying to shallow the club, whether it be with our wrists, shifting the body properly. Far too often, trying to shallow the club is where we get the arms stuck behind, and then there's all kinds of issues with trying to get a good strike on the ball. But rewatch this video if you're somebody, especially who kind of has always had the same kind of issues that I've had in your swing. Rewatch the video, work through it, because I guarantee, stop trying to make that move and move your body so that the club moves correctly will transform your ball striking.